Jake is the king of amusing himself.
Yeah.
I always think
What amusing ambient noise was that prompted that one, Jake?
I'm always secretly hoping you'll say something, and then you say a regular thing.
Oh.
What did you want me to say?
I thought you were going to talk about puffins, but we'll get back to that.
Games, video 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 games.
It's March 19th, 2009, and we accidentally released an alpha build of this podcast on Steam.
This is Idle Thumbs 23, and I'm Chris Redfield.
I'm Nick Brecken.
And I'm Jake Rodkin. And video games.
And video games, as usual, video games.
It's pretty much computer.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Yep. So Jake doesn't actually know why he said we released an alpha build.
Yeah, it just came to me.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Are you aware?
What a coincidence.
Are you aware of that game, The Merchants of Brooklyn? Do you remember when that was announced?
I remember the name of that game.
It's a CryEngine 2 licensed game, one of the only ones, really. That game came out today, or yesterday? Yesterday.
Yeah.
And there were just like...
Or 2 days ago when you're listening to this.
Yeah,
video.
right.
It came out recently.
It came out this week.
Let's calculate the number of hours.
Yes.
And yeah, there were just like, after it came out, just official forums, people everywhere just being like, this game is the most broken game I've ever fucking played in my life.
My HUD disappeared.
Like, just everything.
Why is all the sound incredibly quiet?
Just everything. And so then the developers today were like, whoops, turns out we accidentally put the alpha build up for sale. Like,
nice.
Someone pressed the wrong button or something? I don't know.
That's a big button to accidentally press.
That's a complex series of buttons. That must be pressed.
I think that actually happened with the Sam & Max episode on GameTab as well. They put up a preview release of Sam & Max episode 202, and we got like letters from people that were like, yeah, this didn't seem like up to the usual level of polish. And then when I beat the episode, it said end credits go here, and I realized something probably went wrong. So
God, I saw something like that in a game recently, and I can't remember what it was, but it was some obvious like placeholder thing, like real description, put this here now. And I forgot to write it down or take a note or anything.
Yeah, I saw something like that.
So there's
too.
a great
Weird.
story for you.
Yeah.
was it that concept art?
No, that was hilarious though. The whatever the guy's name is, a serial rapist or whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't see
Halo
this
Wars
one.
thing. Yeah,
I think you
put
reported
a
on
news
it.
story up about it.
Oh, yeah.
Nick Brecken.
It's all the same.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I actually bought The Merchants of Brooklyn today.
Oh, really?
After I saw that news story. Because I remember I was sort
Did
of
you
like...
write some bugs?
That news story enticed you to buy it?
It didn't entice me to buy it. I was going to buy it anyway just to see if it was
Get a
any
sneak
good.
peek at
and
the
then
alpha.
And then I didn't because of that. And then once I saw that they were like, oh, we put the real one up. Sorry about that. We fixed it. Please.
I think that's pretty much what you should do with any PC game at this point. just wait.
Oh, sorry.
Wait
it's
to
the
make
alpha.
sure. Yeah, right. Just give it that first week to make sure it's not an alpha, and then then buy it.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
Poor Nick.
Have you had any?
You were burned.
No, don't bring it up.
You were burned so hard.
Nick installed like a new version of Windows. Or something
Yes, I did.
So that he could.
I spent like 4 hours installing a new build of Windows 7 to see if maybe that would fix my
Wait,
Empire Total
you were
War
using
issues.
Windows 7 before?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe that's the fucking reason your goddamn game's not working.
No.
No, I'm using a pre-release operating system.
No.
People aren't making...
These bugs are documented across all OSs.
Okay,
I have
right.
verified that it's not a Windows 7. Actually, Windows 7 is pretty stable for gaming. But anyway.
Right. I now
you don't believe me.
I
Now everything's called into question now.
A few fewer degrees of trust.
Yeah,
whenever you
see,
speak
you're
about
giving me that
this game not working.
snooty, like, oh, you don't have any problems.
Well, I mean, come on. You're using a fucking unreleased beta.
It's completely stable.
All right, okay.
It was a public beta.
I know.
It's not. It's unrelated to graphics issues too. So
All right,
I mean,
fair
it's,
enough.
It's,
fair enough.
Yeah. Anyway,
I just don't
let's
know.
Not, yeah. GDC's coming up next week. I noticed in my scheduling that there are all these a lot of playtesting talks being given about playtesting specifically. Valve's doing one, Double Fine's doing one, and the Double Fine one was really interesting because apparently they have created a robotic testing, like a software testing thing.
They made a robot. They made a cyborg.
The talk is called like robotic playtesting or something, and to save money and time on playtesting levels, they've created this system where it will automatically
a robot, if you will.
Yeah, a player robot. And I was just, do you know anything about this? Like, I was just
No, I don't. Jake, do.
Nope.
It sounds really interesting, though.
I mean, they used to have that huge cardboard robot called Robox in their old office. Maybe
that'd be funny if it was all just like a joke.
That guy. They've outfitted him with some cyborg mice.
God, you slice off its arm and just Cytec cyborgs come pouring out.
It's like the scarabs and the mummy just like pouring out. Yeah. No, I mean, I guess that makes sense. I mean, I guess what is it? Just sort of do every conceivable thing until the game crashes, and then it has recorded.
I cannot tell that the yellow circles are ammunition. Oh, thanks, robot.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it just like moves. I mean, people use like bots to play World of Warcraft and shit, where it just does a bunch of prescribed actions. And
I think it must be
once
that
it detects a crash, it just because I mean,
we'll find out at GDC.
You know,
it just sounded interesting.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if after Valve, like, when Portal came out and Valve suddenly, like, everyone was talking about Valve instead of just sort of them being there selling a bunch of games, which is sort of how they usually operate. Portal kind of thrusts them a lot more into these sort of, like, the sphere of discussion in the games industry.
Right.
Considering they're always talking about playtesting every 2 seconds, I wouldn't be surprised if more people are sort of reevaluating, like, how they playtest or how frequently they playtest or you know, how they use it.
Yeah.
And also there was like big piece I remember, I forget who published it, maybe it was Wired, about Bungie's just like I
think Bungie, they might be doing
playtesting
a talk as well on playtesting.
Stuff,
yeah.
So. Yeah. Anyway. Well, that's cool. That's a good thing. I mean, that's like a really good thing for studios to learn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, definitely. Yep. Empire Total War could have used some of that. I get the string of stuff, and then I paste it in the support form.
Probably not, though, because it would be you'd be coming into their offices using their computer where everything works. That just needed more QA testing.
Yeah.
That's what that game needed.
Yeah, it's the figuring out if your modern complicated game actually makes sense to anyone.
Right. Yeah.
Did you see that Eurogamer interview where they were talking about I said Ghostbusters.
We're talking about the Ghostbusters?
Yeah, the Ghostbusters.
No, I didn't see that.
Who's the guy who wrote the theme song to Ghostbusters? I can't think of his name right now.
Ray Parker?
Ray Parker, yeah, Ray Parker Jr. He was, it was funny because they asked him, like, so how much money did you make on this thing, on the song? He's like, I make like 100 pounds a minute. I don't have to do anything for the rest of my life. And that was the end of the interview. It's like, they're like, so let me get this straight. You don't have to do anything for the rest of your life, and you get like 100 pounds a minute. And he's like, yeah, pretty much.
Because of the Ghostbusters theme?
Yeah, because of the Ghostbusters theme.
Because of fucking Bustin' makes me feel good. He likes the girls.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Oh, that's good.
Yep.
Congrats to that guy.
Did we play the games?
There were some games. There were some games played.
Yeah.
I sat there watching you and Steve play RE5 co-op for a while.
That's true. Yeah.
How are you liking that?
I don't dislike it. Like I don't think it's like super boring or anything, but it's definitely like after we stopped playing, I was like, okay, well,
yeah, you guys seemed into it when you were playing it, but not.
Yeah, well, when
it not necessarily like blown away. It wasn't changing your lives as you were watching it, and then you forgot about it the moment the TV turned off.
Yeah, exactly. I haven't thought about it since then, and I haven't been compelled to go load it up.
Yeah, feel the same way about it.
You guys actually got to the motorcycle zombie part.
We did. We got to a motorcycle zombie part and then died, and it was like that. Part
you died during the cutscene?
No, not during the cutscene. During just when you're in the truck and zombies are following.
Oh, that part. Yes, right.
One thing that I really enjoyed about Resident Evil 5 from watching it was that in the cutscenes, one of the sound effects that the zombies have whenever they like jump over a wall or like go off a jump on a motorcycle, it's the sound. It's like, yeah! And it's, I think it's just supposed to be like, ah, like a scream, but it sounds like they're about to be like, rock and roll! Especially like when they're going over a jump in a motorcycle, like waving a gun and firing it in the air, you just expect to like, all right, yeah! But it doesn't happen. They instead just sort of start moaning again.
Yeah.
But I heard that sound.
There's that little outburst, though.
I heard that sound like 3 or 4 times, and I kept like, whoa, like, I don't know. Axl Rose was about to walk in.
Right. Well, he got turned into a zombie.
Yeah,
that's true.
Back in the late 90s. He's still there.
It might have happened.
Yeah.
No, also, there was that one cutscene when Jill Valentine calls you up, spoiler, and it flashes to the mansion from Resident Evil 1, but done up in the visual style of Resident Evil 5. And a little tear appeared. I was like, oh, Oh, that's awesome looking. Well, I guess we're playing this game.
Yeah, I know. I guess instead we're here.
Yeah.
In this desert.
Yeah.
Just seeing like that half moment.
I know.
I remember why I loved Resident
That
Evil.
had so much more identity than,
Yeah.
than
It did.
anything in the actual game that we were playing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. When we stopped playing, it was kind of, I mean, I think we've talked about this on the podcast before, this kind of syndrome. Like, at the point when we stopped playing, it had been just like this really long, boring us on truck turrets with zombies coming after us. And then when we died, that part had been such an extended, unenjoyable thing that it just...
That game is never
like
being turned back on.
Well,
The part after that's stupid.
if I go back to this, that means I'm going to have to play through that whole goddamn thing again.
The number of games... we were talking about that, actually. You and Steve and I were talking about that, about games we've put down because you've ended up ending them on such a low, horrible, frustrating, and or boring note that it's like, if I powered through this part and the next part was moderately good, I'd probably play this game for fucking ever. But since this is where I turned it off tonight, that game is going to maybe sit in the like drive tray for a day, and then it's going to be ejected and put on the shelf.
Right.
Yep.
The end. Like there's the like, 24-hour window where you're sort of maybe guilting yourself into the fact that you might play the game again, but and then it's gone. That's for me, at least. Yeah.
No, it's true. And it's probably the case with this game. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe if someone's over again and they want to play co-op, but I'm not going to go out of my way to play it on my own. Also, for some reason, the co-op, the split-screen co-op thing is all fucked up. I mean, it's fine. Like, it works fine in gameplay, but like there's no option for it. Like, the only options are Xbox Live and System Link.
Is it like a weird like arcade style where player 2 just presses start and it like pictures itself?
No, and one of my coworkers thought they just removed split screen for the retail build because it just doesn't mention it in the menu anywhere, which makes no sense. I don't understand why they wouldn't. If you can choose Xbox Live and choose System Link, you'd think you could choose split screen. And he was just, I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure it has it. I was talking to him before I had played the game.
Right.
So I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure it's in there. I definitely think they put it in there. And he's like, yeah, I don't know, man. It's not in the menu. I couldn't find it anywhere. And so then when Steve came over, we went in and like when we first started it up, we were like, what the fuck? Seriously? Was he right? Did they just not put it in? It took us a long time where it's like, well, I guess just one of us will play. And then someone just happened to try pressing start or whatever. And like, it was really odd UI design there, but whatever.
Yeah, it also seemed like in the end of level stuff, you guys were having a lot of trouble with. It wasn't necessarily accounting for both of you being there for some of like the weapon loadout stuff and that.
Yeah, if you leave and come back, like we quit out of the game because you can, for some weird reason, you can buy multiple weapons of the same type and just fuck yourself up because you can't do anything with multiple weapons of the same type.
Yeah.
We thought maybe that was so you could buy one and give it to your friend. But you can't give weapons to your friend ever. You can never give weapons to your friend. You can give any item to your friend except weapons. So there's literally absolutely zero function in the buying additional weapons.
Just makes you feel bad. You can't carry one in each hand.
Right. And so I.
You can do it between missions, but
no, you can't. You can never ever give guns to a human.
Nick looks dubious.
Oh,
maybe you could if it was another Xbox Live player. I don't know, but split screen you definitely cannot under any circumstances ever give a gun to your friend.
Or did you think he was saying that in game you can't? Like you can't just
you can't just
toss the shotgun to the other guy.
No, you can't do that.
No, that would be awesome.
What? yeah. I don't know.
No, but you can't do it in the inventory screen either. No.
Weird.
Yeah, it's really dumb.
Because they have that management bay where you can like throw weapons into. It's like a pool, like a general pool of stuff.
As far as I can tell, it worked for everything except guns.
Weird.
If a listener like has,
if we're all full of shit and doing something wrong,
there's like some weird mechanism or some obvious mechanism that we're missing. I don't know.
Press RT to pass weapon to team.
Right, but like every item has the option except weapons. I think I don't know. It was really weird. We tried for a while.
It's built so you can sort of just comedically fill your entire inventory with the same shotgun,
like a pistol, right?
Yeah.
And so I accidentally bought another gun, and then realized I couldn't do that. So we decided to just quit out and just load our save, so that we could just erase my mistake because you can't undo that. And when we did, we had to go through like 15 minutes of rigmarole getting the game to recognize, because you can't have the player join in until you've already started the mission. You can't have your friend join in when you're in the pre-mission inventory screen, which is also idiotic. So at least in split screen, you can't do that. And so it was confusing. I don't even want to explain it because it was so confusing. But it was
That's
just like
stupid.
a weird thing where we had to
There are some extreme
sign
holes in
and
split
out.
screen. Is what
Yeah,
you're saying.
sign in and out a million times to make sure we both
But even
actually
that
had the
inventory
equipment
system,
we had before.
I didn't care for it at all. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but like in Resident Evil 4, I enjoyed having to sort of fit my items in that Tetris style. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I don't mind. I don't miss that.
I kind of did.
I did kind of like it, but I don't miss it at all.
I did miss the dude.
I missed the dude, and I missed everything
Like,
about
it seems
that.
like especially if you're gonna, like I think Steve was talking about this too. If you're gonna move all that stuff to the end of the mission, that's like the perfect time
To meet up with that guy.
Just have the
be
dude there.
What are you buying? Oh, hey,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah,
guy.
Hey.
He's
Yeah.
just playing his own other Resident Evil game.
Considering they
Well, and
brought
I like-
back so many of the they
Right.
already brought back some of the NPC touchdowns
Yeah.
from
Right.
RE4 anyway. It's
Yeah.
like, you might as well bring back the hilarious one.
I don't know why I don't know why they changed something that wasn't broken.
Also, it
You
is
know what I mean?
amazing that what's the name of the disease in this game? The infection thing. Does it
I
have
don't
one?
even know.
Well, okay, well, whatever it is,
Letter virus.
it's weird. It's
thing.
weird.
I don't
It's weird that one effect that it has on you
Tricell,
is it
something.
causes you to put a bag on your head and pick up a chainsaw.
Right, I know, and I like that from culture to culture, the
Right.
way they wear the bag apparently changes. Like the Spanish ones, they're pretty
Yeah.
straightforward. They just kind of put the bag on their head. The African ones go all out, fucking wrap that shit with ropes. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, it's.
Didn't they cut holes in the eyes too?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
maintain a little bit of your cultural identity, I guess. I don't know what that
Through
means.
the way in which
you
Right.
wear the bag on your head and pick up a chainsaw.
Right.
But yeah, I guess that.
I can't wait to see Resident Evil. What's the next one? 6.
Yeah.
How that guy wears it. Maybe he'll fucking cut it up into
Yeah,
little pieces
It's
and glue
too
them
bad
into
that
his face.
they've decided that this is a disease that makes you put a bag on your head and pick up a chainsaw because that guy is fucking everywhere at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
He's not just.
Well,
that,
actually, on the topic of that guy, this is, as much as there can be some sort of tension in this game, like the fucking chainsaw guy was gone. Steve and I fucking raped that guy. Like,
yeah. Well, the thing about it is, he
just-
stops in front of you now. He'll run up to you,
Get his little
and he'll
soft
just,
shoe.
he does like a little thing where he just sort of like he considers whether or not it's really fair to like chop your head off, and then he fucking does it. Like,
Well, we didn't even get to that point. Like, it was literally, I just stood at like the far end of a corridor with a sniper rifle.
Yeah.
Fucking sniped him twice in the head. Steve ran up to him, did the fucking thing.
Yeah.
Ran away. I sniped him some more. Like, that guy was fucking he had no chance at
Yeah.
all, ever.
Yeah.
Like, he was just out. And it
But
was,
I mean,
Sadly,
the-
he wasn't infected. It was a copycat thing. It's just a regular
just
guy.
thought that dude was really cool.
Yeah,
It's like, man, that guy, what a stylish dude.
that was a child.
yeah, there wasn't actually
I've
no
improved
infection.
on his methods with
You
my bag.
It was a fan convention.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it was cosplay.
And that was on the second highest difficulty, and I saw some people on the internet say this game should be played on the highest difficulty, but the difference was when we tried the highest difficulty, we just fucking got completely destroyed. So
Yeah.
we were even, I mean, and not on the chainsaw guy, but even before the chainsaw guy, just regular fucking dudes just shoot us up. So maybe we suck at games, but for us,
yeah.
the second hardest one was pretty goddamn easy, and then the hardest
is a
one was
stupid-
fucking hard as shit.
This might be a dumb thing to say, but I enjoy games that have 4 difficulty levels as opposed to 3.
Did this one only have 3?
I think it's just easy, normal, and hard.
Okay,
I
so
believe.
we did normal
Unless
then
there's one
most
that
of
you
the
can unlock. I don't think there is, but
But they got to add that fourth one between hard and really hard. Or
yeah, I mean, to me, like
medium and
if there
hard.
are 3, I'm gonna play normal just as a default.
Yeah, I pretty much do that as well.
That is typically either too easy or you know what I mean. It's just I don't know. It's usually that third difficulty level for me is the 3 out of 4 is what I like to play on. This is a stupid comment. This is really dumb, but
I understand what you're
You know
saying.
what I'm saying? Yeah,
Kind of like
I like
a
that.
percentage system.
Yeah,
I would
the
prefer
sort of
that.
the
I like
pro-
65%
like the
The
difficulty.
prosumer level.
I prefer like
Yeah.
a B plus difficulty.
Right. Anyway,
I mean, they could rate that with fucking graphics and replay value.
I'd like to play the game on replay value 7 mode.
Exactly. You set it, and then the review kicks back the appropriate final aggregate score.
Oh, maybe it's not an aggregate though. Maybe it's just the final rating.
Oh, right, yeah. It doesn't have to be an average.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes, Resident Evil 5. I
Yeah.
don't know, whatever. It's a game.
What else were we doing? You and I played through Gravity Bone.
Yeah, Gravity Bone. That's a cool
Oh.
game. We kind of missed the initial wave
We
of
missed the
excitement over
Gravity
this
Bone
game.
wave,
Yeah.
if you will.
Bandwagon.
The Gravity Bone well. But it's a cool thing. It's a dude... God, what company did we determine he worked for? Was it Pandemic?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, a guy who's a full-time developer in his real job also makes... I think he's made 2 or 3 of these
Yeah,
just
2
like
or 3 other...
cool little self-made indie games. and Gravity Bone is the most recent one. I think it came out in January or something.
Yeah, it's using an extremely it's using the Quake 2 engine, but with all the sort of weird mods that people have done to it over the years since it went open source. So it's it's low poly and looks like Quake 2, except that it's got crazy lighting and bloom and stuff.
Yeah,
but,
and the characters are all deliberately like rectangular in shape. Like they're all very
big box
hard
heads.
edges, so it pretty much looks fine. Like,
it looks cool.
I would believe that he could have made that in Source or something, and just also used really low polygon models.
Yeah,
because there was nothing in it that dated itself.
More of a stylistic choice.
It's a first-person game wherein you're a spy, sort of.
Yeah.
Like you poison a guy, and
you're a spy who just goes through a series of 3 completely predetermined missions.
2.
Only 2?
It might be.
Yeah, you just go through 2 weird missions where just you get instructions from some unknown source and just carry these things out, and then it ends in a hilarious, cool way.
It was only 20 minutes.
Yeah, it was
long
a 20-minute game. Yeah,
it was very cool.
Yeah, it was.
It's the sort of thing that it's so short, and it was interesting enough that I don't really want to talk about too many of the specifics.
Exactly, yeah.
Because just playing it through once,
you'll get through it anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
It feels like the guy made it with either the intention or just the unintentional result of just putting standard kind of video game mission objective sort of cliches or tropes just as upfront as possible, and just being here's what you do in a video game, so out in the open that it ends up being sort of hilarious and weird. I don't know. It's a cool game. It's worth playing. It's a free download, obviously, and I'm sure it runs on any hardware pretty much.
Cool. Yeah, it's cool.
We approve of it. We played through the LittleBigPlanet. Well, we didn't play through.
We sucked really hard at the Little Big Contra thing.
Right.
Oh, I haven't tried that out yet. How was that?
It was Contra.
It was pretty amazing, yeah.
Yeah?
It was made by a bunch of people from GAF, and it was all 8 levels of Contra.
Yeah.
And it's hard as shit. Just
it's like Contra, except that
your jumping is weird and physical.
Your jumping is weird, and you have to position where you shoot in a different way than you position where you move, because there's 2 analog sticks and a jump. So it's like Contra Pro.
Yeah.
It was cool though. It did an amazing job of making me feel like I was playing Contra and LittleBigPlanet at the same time, basically. Which
we played
stupid as hell
3
thing
or
to
4
say.
levels or so, I'd say.
Yeah, we played level 1, and then we got destroyed 1,000 times on the boss and gave up, and then played a couple other ones.
Yeah, there was one of them we couldn't find. It was
level 2 was gone.
It's
but
gone
whatever.
or something. Yeah.
We killed that alien at the top of the waterfall level. That was cool.
Oh yeah,
he
that
was
was great.
He was large and in charge and shot things all over the place. Yeah,
they had the I don't know what you call them, but
the
sort
base
of
levels,
more first-person base levels. Yeah.
Yeah.
Third person behind.
Yeah, they used what looked like a similar hack to the people who did the Gradius levels in
Right,
LittleBigPlanet,
exactly.
where your guys are behind the screen on a jetpack flying around, which then is hooked up to a visual representation of your guy in the real game.
Yeah.
That stuff is really cool.
It's really crazy. Yeah,
It's pretty amazing.
It makes
LittleBigPlanet wins 1 billion points for allowing people to actually go and make a weird, nearly first-person NES emulation.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It's
I'm really
nuts.
glad that people actually, sort of latched onto that game and did produce stuff like that. You know what I mean? Because I think there was a period there after a week where it was just everybody had made music levels and stuff, and just hey, here's the wacky, Street Fighter thing, and then
there are some people that
after,
are sort of actually doing the sort of tier 2 content that you were hoping.
Right.
Once people get familiar with this, they could really make some amazing stuff. And, and then, the amazing thing that was made is remaking an NES game, but it's done to such a technically great degree that it's really impressive.
Yeah, it was really, really cool.
Yeah. And also, anyone who looks at LittleBigPlanet and thinks that maybe it's not hard and is for a child because it looks goofy, play the Contra levels. And
Jesus
holy
Christ.
crap.
It's ridiculous. I thought the waterfall one was super fun.
Yeah, that was great.
I really, really liked that one. Good job to whoever that was, but it was also that one had more checkpoints than level 1, which we needed badly.
Yeah.
Oh, it's because it had stationary checkpoints, Whereas level 1 had the helicopter.
It had the drop ship.
Which we just ran out of lives like all the time. But
the internet claims, and actually the text message at the beginning of the level claims that there's a hidden Konami code at the on the title screen, but we couldn't find it. We're not even good enough to find the Konami code.
We already know what the Konami code is, and we couldn't find it.
Yeah, so that's cool.
Jake kept trying to put in I
kept trying to move the guy in the configuration of the code to see if that would work it, or and jump around madly. No, but it's pretty sweet. If you have LittleBigPlanet, you need to play it. You probably have already played it.
Yeah, it was rad. So
yeah,
internet actually also it's really impressive to me when just a bunch of dudes on a message board get together and actually complete something like that. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, it's a sort of project.
That's pretty.
Yeah, things on the internet like that, they explode.
Yeah, people lose interest or whatever.
It's super impressive that they made all of Contra from start to finish.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
Yeah, it's rad.
Way to go, internet.
Fuck yeah, internet.
Ooh,
let's take a break.
Yeah, breaking.
Video game.
I wanted to talk more about Baghead Guy.
Why didn't you?
I called him Sackman. I think
the
in my review
drifted away. But I want.
He's like the grown-up sackboy, isn't he?
In my mind, you know how you see people get infected in that game? Like, don't you occasionally see someone dragged away, then they come back infected?
They put shit in their face.
Sorry, they put shit in their face. Yeah, but in my mind, I sort of was imagining like the guy on the ground, and then as the infection started taking over, you'd see like the shaking hand sort of drop into frame on the floorboards and sort of like reach around and find
grab like a potato sack, like a sack of potatoes, just like
sort of twitching over, and then he puts it on his head and cinches up the rope, and then the other hand finds a chainsaw. And
that's why his head is so lumpy. There's like a potato in there.
Right. He's actually it's just a found bag. Yeah. That my mind sort of drifted to that. Yeah, like the cutscene where you see the blonde girl taken away, then she turns into a zombie or something.
That's why she puts the bag over her head. She's
right. Oh man, that's true. She was halfway transformed.
Yeah.
Anyway, that would be my favorite thing if that game just admitted that the virus spawned a Chainsaw Man.
There needs to be a Chainsaw Man Sackboy released as DLC.
Oh no,
that's hilarious. Man. Actually, he just wears another Sackboy's head. On his head. It's a sack. Fuck it. Yeah. Burlap or whatever the hell those guys are made out of.
Yeah, they're made out of sack.
Gross.
Oh, excuse me. Let the record show Chris went there.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that I've
false break over.
Now that I've mentioned that, do we want to take a real break, or do we want to just keep talking about games?
I think that's a break.
Have you ever wanted to take a ride in a real airplane? Fly through that wild blue yonder in an honest-to-God flying contraption? Well, now you can, with old man Clancy's H.A.W. It does all the zip-zooming around every which way, just like a genuine airship, but without all them fool buttons and controls. It's just like driving a tractor, except you can't see where you're going, and it's not on the ground. Plus, you can get your OFF certification. And the best part is, you don't even need to sit in the plane. You can watch it all from outside, like movies. Old man Clancy's H.A.W. It's airplanes, for folks that don't know what airplanes is.
Order now and receive a free Wonder Boner.
Line Rider 2.
Actually, I think it is Line Rider 2. I think that actually is what it
Line
really
Rider
is called.
2, the Line Rider.
The Ridering.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're talking about
company
jokes.
is making a new RPG by the guy, like the lead artist and designer.
That's a shift.
I know. Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, they made that Bard's Tale thing.
He was very disappointed in the aesthetic of Fallout 3.
You know, it's funny actually. I asked him about Fallout 3.
No, I know. Sorry, that was a weird callback to the Diablo 2 guy.
Oh, yeah, Bill. You know what?
Hold on. We're okay. Unless you want to go with that.
Well, I was just gonna say I kind of agree with Bill Tiller at this point.
Bill Tiller?
I'm sorry, Bill Roper. Jesus Christ, Bill
Tiller, the character designer at Arena.net, who now made Vampire
naming
Story.
1,000 video game people at this point. No. Okay, well, I guess we'll go one at a time. So, Jason Anderson, I did ask him about what he thought about Fallout 3, and he actually said he really liked it.
Yeah.
He said there, a couple things he probably would have done differently if he and, Tim Kaine and Leonard Boyarsky or whatever were making it. But, what can you do? He said he thought it was really good, and he thought that I think it seemed like the thing he liked the most, actually, was that Bethesda lately has sort of shown that you can take a crazy, big single-player RPG and have it be a viable big hit that people actually want to play.
Yeah, the fact that they sort of... Yeah, that's cool. That is a really cool thing to say. Remember Fallout, that weird PC game? Now everyone wants Fallout.
Right.
Oh, okay.
And it seemed like he was sort of encouraged by that because immediately before in Exile, he was back at Interplay making what probably was the Fallout MMO, but that's never been officially announced. But it was Project V13, which was an
Vault
MMO.
13, blah, blah, blah. Yeah,
probably the Fallout MMO because we already knew Interplay was making a Fallout MMO.
Yeah.
And it's funny because he didn't put that in the category of RPG. It was weird. Like that might have just been a slip of the tongue, but he's like, yeah, I've always really been into RPGs. I never really left RPGs. Well, except for that year when I was working on, the MMO with Interplay. But, other than that, and it's like weird. So I guess to him, an RPG really is like a single player experience, which I thought was interesting, at least on a computer.
That or Vault 13 was really... or is really strange and not
I
so
doubt
much
that's
of an RPG,
what
but
don't, that's probably that's not how I read.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah,
having done the interview, that's not how I took it,
yeah.
but it could be. Who the fuck knows? I mean, Interplay could be making some weird ass thing.
There was
Action
a sort of
MMO
Fallout
thing,
themed sort of like puzzle palace.
Right. Yeah. But
on PopCap, yeah.
But yeah, exactly. It's Puzzle Quest MMO. But no, it sounded like he just really sort of has a fondness for single player RPGs, which is not surprising because he made one that has is very fondly remembered by a lot of people.
Yeah,
and he did seem pretty enthused that Bethesda is able to make these really big single player RPGs and have people actually like them and pay attention.
That's
to
cool.
Them.
Yeah.
I don't think that necessarily means he's gonna sort of just ape the Bethesda style for whatever he's working on in the next
He'll be
style,
aping it.
Just the general feasibility of the genre seemed to be cool to him, so that's cool. Yeah, so that was an interesting thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought it was sort of a surprise. I mean, that guy. I don't know. It's funny now that Fallout 3 is a big deal. Like, that's the kind of thing that someone can issue press releases about, and like that basically
Fallout guy is this
exactly
sweet.
like ever since Fallout 3 was announced as being a Bethesda game, that has been happening all the time. Like everyone who's ever involved with Fallout,
the esteem of all Fallout devs has risen.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Like my leading question, and I feel like
you're asking leading questions now.
Well, my opening question. Well, my leading question was, so if you had killed, how would it have been done? Then he wrote a book about it. But no, I opened with, because, in the press release, it was like, original Fallout designer does a thing, like, can't wait to fucking RPG it up with the Fallout guy. And so my initial question was, is this...
Is this the real Fallout 3?
Right, yeah. What's the secret of Fallout? No, I was like, well, is this in the vein of Fallout at all? Or, it could seem like... And then immediately he's like, well, I spent like 8 years at Troika, like, making those games too. And I'm like, oh, you're right. I'm an asshole for just being like, Fallout guy. But it's like, that's how he's being pitched.
Sure, that's logical.
Yeah. But, yeah.
So he led you in the end.
Yep, I was led. No, but I don't know. It was interesting to see. It's been an interesting phenomenon. The sort of weird Fallout effect, where that's
the Fallout
the Fallout.
Hey, Nick, nice one.
I hated that as it came out. All right.
Wait, what did you hate as a kid?
He said he hated it as it came out.
Yeah,
which is also gross sounding out of context.
Oh, out of his butt.
Yeah. What? Come on.
Sorry, our podcast is above.
Anyway,
kind of
Diablo.
Petty. Yeah, Diablo. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, how do you guys feel about how Diablo 3 looks? I mean, Jake, you probably didn't play too much Diablo 2, right?
I haven't played a lot of Diablo in general. I mean, I've put a number of hours into them, but not as many as most people in the world who say they've played Diablo.
Right.
That said, Diablo 3, see, now I've ruined all credibility, so when I say that I think
Diablo
3 looks good, people will be like, you don't fucking know. You weren't there. You don't fucking know what it looks like. I think it looks like a really good game.
Yeah.
I think visually it still looks like a crazy gothic game. You're going to tell me that... all those fan mock-ups are the real Diablo.
No, that's not what I want to tell you.
You are going to say it. Okay,
not.
Should we talk about why we're saying this?
Yeah, oh, right. So
before you just said something dangerous, Nick. Oh.
I know.
Okay, so basically,
I know.
So Blizzard obviously has released screenshots of Diablo 3. I'm sure everyone knows that.
Yeah.
And then was it today or yesterday or something? I don't know. Recently?
Yesterday. 2 days ago.
Bill Roper. Let's determine the hours.
Recently.
Within recent memory, Bill Roper, who... was one of the key guys at Blizzard North when that studio actually existed and made Diablo and Diablo 2, and then more recently crashed and burned with Hellgate. someone asked him in an interview. I think a lot of people gave him shit for this because they thought he was just stomping around and shitting on things. But someone in an interview specifically asked him what he thought about Diablo 2's art style, and he basically said, Diablo 3. Jesus Christ, I can't talk at all anymore. Well, I don't know, Nick. Why don't you?
He more or less said that he didn't think it was a bad game, or a bad look for the game, but said that he preferred the more gothic, darker style of the previous Diablo games.
He was like, this is the Blizzard Irvine guy.
Yeah. He sort of drew a distinction
North
between
guys liked the darker stuff, and you can tell that it's made by the new.
You can tell it's made by the StarCraft guys,
which I think is a pretty accurate statement.
Sure, I think it is too. Yeah,
whether you agree with his opinion or not,
I think everybody saw that. I mean, I think that was. I think that up to this point, people kind of knew that was the.
That characterization, I think, is not like loaded in any way. It's pretty accurate. But
dead on,
people's reaction to it, is different.
Yeah.
At first, I was sort of like right up there with the sort of just like getting really irritated by the dudes who were.
Guy?
Yeah, exactly. I'm just like, shut up, whatever. It looks good. Fuck it. Who the hell cares? But I don't know, for whatever reason, over time, probably because I'm no longer on the high I was when they first announced the game, and I'm just like, motherfucking Diablo 3, bitches, fuck yeah, wizard. Like, now it's been a while, and now it's just like, oh, okay, more Diablo 3.
So now in the classic internet curve, you're like, fuck this, is not the real thing.
Right. Like, and then like a month before the game comes out, I'd be like, fuck yeah, man, I was so stupid. Why did I ever say that? It's fucking sweet.
I mean, I'm
this
calling
curve,
it, like,
we'll be able to watch you do this over the year.
It's true. I'm not going to even pretend to deny it. Like, that game's going to come out, and I'm going to fucking play the shit out of it, and it's going to be sweet. But,
But it's going to look gay. No, I don't know. I'm sorry.
At this point,
I shouldn't have said that.
Probably at like one of the farthest points from the initial announcement and from release. We're probably around the midpoint between those two things at this point. Or
so you're predicting the release
maybe
date
even
of Diablo
less
3
than the
here?
midpoint, but
Oh my god.
Well, it could be less in the wrong direction.
Oh my god. Everything is scandalous.
Yeah. Jake is scandalized. She's a scandalized British woman.
The floor is covered in monocles that I've dropped.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I guess if it was a magical world where I could just tell them to do whatever I wanted, I'd probably say dial back the brightness and colors a bit, but whatever, I don't know.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Like, I didn't particularly take to the StarCraft 2 style originally. I mean, there was a recent batch of screenshots that came out where they directly compared, Blizzard actually went down and did comparisons between, the initial look of the Zerg and then the Zerg like 6 months later.
What, like their fucking alpha build? Like, you talking about StarCraft 1?
No, 2.
Oh, they actually showed.
Oh yeah, they made up.
They've done a full.
Yeah, it's like a Q&A thing.
Yeah.
It's so dramatic. I mean, like, they toned back the color. They added a lot of grit. They did a lot of sort of filtering and stuff.
I predict that a similar thing will happen to Diablo. I mean, I don't think it's going to turn into the fan screenshots where it basically just looks like the fucking Underworld movies.
Right.
But I'm sure that they're going to get it to a more refined place before the game comes out.
I think so. I think cool. At this point it's a little early. I kind of agree. I think that in general it sort of has a smoothed over sort of graphical, like just even just like the polygons, the way that they're just the way that the game is sort of built in the engine just doesn't scream gothic horror to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, something that's called Diablo.
Yeah,
I mean, just like, I don't know, that word is.
But
it's pretty.
I mean, playing the game, I didn't give a shit. I was like, fuck yeah, Diablo 3.
I'm not going to give a shit.
Once
either,
you're
really,
in Diablo, I feel like it'll probably still end up being tonally consistent enough that you're not going to be like, look at this purple light in this room.
Well, here's the
thing.
thing.
You're like Diablo.
I think what's going to happen is there will be some levels that are like the original Diablo, and there'll be some that aren't. I mean, I think they're trying to just sort of broaden the spectrum. I mean, they've said as much. I mean, I think that when you see a screenshot where it's bright outside, that's probably the first level of a chapter, and then.
I'm sure that a decent amount of what's going on is extreme excitement leading to over-analysis leading to disappointment. It's like when a genre superhero trailer comes out and people pull every single frame and are like, look, in this one his eyebrow is arched slightly. They fucked up the character. I mean, admittedly, like, if this is representative of the overall like tone of the game, some people it probably won't sit well with, but games in general also, once you're playing them, that sort of thing sticks out less.
I think that's true. I think everything you said is definitely true, but I don't think
not stopping you.
But I don't think that should be used just to dismiss opinions. Like,
no, I'm not saying that. I mean, you're wrong.
Yeah. No, I understand what you mean. I understand.
There's nothing wrong with well, there's something wrong with it if you're going to be a big douche about it and tell Blizzard how they're fucking retarded on the internet. But I think it's perfectly fine to want the game to look and feel a little different than it does.
I think it's in an early state, graphically speaking. Like playing it at BlizzCon, I could tell that the demo level, which was clearly a demo level, sort of cobbled together.
Right.
I mean, just looking at just even like the first impression, I was like, this game is not going to look like this when I eventually play it.
It's too bad that they feel the need to, for some reason, release shit that early. Like it's weird that these days Blizzard is one of those, because they, as much as people always talk about Blizzard taking forever, they didn't actually used to take as long as they do now, and it's fine that they take that long. I don't mind at all.
It does sort of frustrate
weird
fans.
that they like years in advance now will release screen, because I mean, if you think back, they would release a game every year or every 18 months or so, and now with the exception of World of Warcraft expansions, that just doesn't happen.
I wonder if
I think they're going to be trying. I mean, with StarCraft at this point, they're
right,
and Diablo 3 and World of Warcraft. I think in the next couple of years, you'll probably see more regular.
The fact that because the licenses that they work with at this point are so huge, I think it probably does work in their advantage. Like if they said Diablo 3 is coming out like a month before it came out.
Well, I'm not.
Okay, but I mean, I feel like they might know. I don't know. I mean,
even a year, I think, would be more reasonable.
I guess if it gets more than a year, it's a little bit insane, which it is going to be.
Yeah. It frustrates people a lot. I mean, just watching like comments and such.
At the end of the
people
day,
are just like, "Fuck these screenshots." But at the end of the day, I think
sell a fucking billion copies.
I mean,
who knows if it would? If they probably still would if they didn't do it. So they probably don't have to.
Because I assume the people who are ever going to see these screenshots this early on are the people who would see them
buy it anyway.
Anytime.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? Like there probably aren't too many. Because I mean, I have friends who are not guys who read gaming sites or keep up with this shit, but will definitely play Diablo. And those guys have not, like, at least most of them have not seen any of the shit that's been released so far. But, whatever. I mean, certainly, obviously the sort of answer to any of these questions is Blizzard obviously knows what they're doing.
I think,
but I think there's stuff to be discussed.
I think they like to have big announcements at BlizzCon, you know what I mean? And true. I think they need to sort of have a headliner. And if they have to bring out an early version of Diablo 3 maybe before it's, but I mean, you know what I mean? I think that's maybe part of it.
Was StarCraft 2 at BlizzCon a year ago?
It was, I mean, no, it was the 2007 BlizzCon. Of StarCraft 2, and then
like 18 months ago at this point.
Yeah.
Okay, I couldn't remember. It seemed like there was
at this point the last two BlizzCons they've had
between StarCraft 2 and Diablo 3, but I guess it was a year.
They're just following the years,
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah. So anyway.
I mean, Nick, do you think they'll release a game this year? Do you think they'll release StarCraft this year?
I think they will.
You think so?
I think so.
That'd be cool.
It's been so far. I mean, the multiplayer is goddamn, built. I mean, they just have to balance the thing.
Yeah.
At this point, so I think the beta will come out this spring probably, and I probably holiday release. I have to imagine.
I'm at this point I'm pretty at peace with the and I was really from the start the sort of 3-tiered release. The kind of first, now it's the Terrans, then it's Protoss or whatever, then there's but oh my god, it was really, I had like a moment of depression when I was listening to an Activision it was a what was it? A Wedbush Morgan analyst. Nick, did you listen to this?
No. I can just imagine.
Yeah, a Wedbush Morgan analyst.
Like Pachter or something?
President, it was Michael Pachter. Yeah, interviewing the chief operating officer of Activision, Michael Tipple, I think, or Thomas Tipple, and he was like, "I've got to congratulate you guys on the Blizzard idea that with making them buy the same game 3 times. That is a stroke of marketing genius. I can't even imagine the kind of revenues you're going to squeeze out of people with that. Because I read some blogs and they're like, I'm buying all 3, and I'm like, wow, those Activision, they know how to make that money.
Well, what was his response?
Oh, he was just like, well, thank you. I really appreciate that you like.
What do you think he's going to say? Quite.
You could easily get a full game's worth out of one of those. This guy's the chief operating officer. His job is fucking making sure shit runs and the money comes from. Or no, he's the chief financial officer. I'm sorry, CFO.
Oh, okay.
And it was like just listening to that, just like praise, that just unrestrained like admiration for the money machine made me so sad. Not because I have anything against Blizzard making money, but just like.
Don't tell me that's what it is.
Exactly.
Tell me it's to make it really cool.
Right, exactly.
Don't say that.
Yeah, it was really sad. Also,
don't confirm my fear.
Jesus Christ, listening to this listening to the conversation between these two guys, everyone knows this, but it really drove home how much money Blizzard makes. The amount of money Blizzard makes is so preposterous. It's I mean, to listen to these guys talk, it's just by a margin that is difficult to describe, just beyond any other individual studio in the industry.
You'd think they'd have a little pocket change laying around to finish Warcraft Adventures, am I right?
Well, it's funny because that's what their profit margins are I forget what the number is, but it was some crazy number. And Pachter was like, it feels like even as high as these profit margins are, they could be even higher. And Tipple was like, well, I don't know. I mean, they make so much money like that. We just kind of let them have like the money they want. I don't know. It's like they make so much money that we can't really like count all the money. So like they can just kind of do the extra shit they need to do. Like he was basically just coming out and being like, the amount of money that this studio brings us is so preposterous that they don't even take any risks in ever like demanding even more money. It's just like, well, I guess these mountains of money will have to do. Like, And so I think that's why they can do shit like release a patch for StarCraft, like Diablo 2.
Right.
They're releasing a Diablo 2 content patch.
Yeah, you know what people said when I posted about that?
What?
They said, oh, well, why don't they just take that guy and put him on Diablo 3 and bring it out like an extra month earlier? And I was like, oh, God.
The amount of
How
money,
many points are you missing with that? Like,
the amount of money Blizzard brings in, it's just like irrelevant. It's like, well, we can just invent another man to make this patch for us. Like,
yeah, right.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Why
that guy is not.
3? Why don't they hire 300 additional guys to work on Diablo 3? Why take that guy off that one fucking patch?
Right.
Yep.
Like,
Don't be retarded, internet.
Yeah.
Sorry, I shouldn't say retarded.
That's okay.
Or internet.
It's a bad word.
Or don't.
Yeah, it actually makes me really. I'll probably reinstall Diablo 2 for the 400th. Well, if they release a new patch, I'm not going to not install it. I'm going to fucking install the shit out of that game. Like I have so many times. I mean, really, all I want is the only thing I care about is them just fucking increasing the resolution at this point. Like, what is it now? 800 by 600?
Yes.
Jesus.
It's got to be weird to be like, oh, loading up the old Diablo 2 source. We're going to make a build of Diablo 2.
Yeah. Like, I mean, they said it's a content patch. Are they going to be actually making new sprites?
They asked the fans. They want to know what they want.
Did everyone
taking
say
requests.
resolution? Because that's
actually, that was one of the major requests.
God.
But yeah, that would be nice to have sort of a high resolution archive of that game.
Yeah, it really would be nice. Because I still think probably I've put more hours into that game than any other game ever released. I can't think of anything else that would be able to compete, at least off the top of my head.
Probably have to.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jesus Christ. You know what game's going to come close to that pretty fucking soon? Jesus, Team Fortress 2 and these fucking class achievements. Christ almighty, I'm not a fan of this shit. I know.
You're falling into their little design.
Yeah, but I don't think it's a good design. It's just I play in a way that's not. It's not a
good design. I can't
so
stop
you
playing
hoard the
Fortress
achievements.
2.
But see,
you hoard the achievements. I saw your.
Yeah. That's what I'm going to talk about.
You sit in the server and fucking,
Because there's
you just double jump 1,000 times.
It's not the shit. Some of the shit they want you to do is stuff that.
Yeah.
It does not encourage me to play better. It just encourages me to like be lame. Like, you know what I mean? Some of the stuff is just things I will never be able to accomplish on my own. But I will
believe in yourself.
It's not going to happen. I will say I did have a lot of fun the other night when I was playing on a server, I was playing on a regular server, playing a game. Eventually, everyone just kind of left. Like, just over time, just people left until I was the only person left on a server. And so then I just changed to Scout and just went and captured the enemy intelligence like 400 million times and just kept, like, just to get my however many,
So that was fun. You sort of lived that pyro machinima.
Right. And so that was boring, but at least I got my thing. But the thing that was fun is when my friend joined and came onto the server and like we played for a while before he realized no one else was there. Not a while, but a couple minutes, like enough to respawn a couple times and notice he never had any teammates. And he's like, what the fuck are you doing? What is this bullshit? And I'm like, I was just kind of jumping and like running and stuff. Yeah, exactly. And so that kicked off like a 4-hour spree of the two of us just like
achievement whoring
farming
left
for
and right.
achievements.
Yeah, sweet.
But it was
like co-op farming.
Yeah. Unlike when I was doing it on my own, that was actually genuinely fun because it was just hilarious. We're like, all right, now do the one where I kill you and then I have to taunt, and then as you take the picture, I'm like in the middle of my taunt. And it was just like hilarious. It was super fun. Like it was, like the medic or the like pyro like lifting his thing over his head and while the other guy's dead. Like, it just all this stupid shit.
You have to wonder if Valve sort of planned it that way in like a twisted kind of, like.
Yeah,
maybe these two people maybe someone will find a friend and then they'll hang out and get achievements together.
Yeah.
But some of them are so complicated. Like, some of them I just sort of don't think I'll ever do. Like, some of the heavy ones where it's like, be an invulnerable with a medic and fucking go into the water and kill a pyro as he's upside down. And I'm like, what the fuck?
I'll stand here,
times.
and then when I count to 3, you pull out the stool.
Right, exactly. Yeah. It's like, I don't know.
This will work.
So some of them I'll just never do. But
yeah.
Some of them, like the scout ones, a lot of them are just grind fest to the fucking max. And it's just, I'm sure a lot of them are like that, but I've only really done much of the scout and pyro.
I think that they're probably their concept there was like, we'll make these so that they can't possibly grind them, or at least some of them. So they're like, well, they'll just be like casual kind of, oh, hey, I got an achievement, you know what I mean, kind of thing. But when they connect them with material rewards in the game, they
class upgrades at this point that they should know that is.
Yeah.
People aren't playing it that way.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes I'll get one of the things, but then it's like, oh, I've got to do this 50 times. Are you fucking serious?
Yeah.
Like, that's never going to happen organically. Like, that's not going to just happen by me just playing well.
Yeah, that is, I guess, a shame. And it's one of those things that I feel like everyone playing TF2 knows it, and the people making it must know it.
Yeah,
like,
exactly, yeah.
You don't just get this stuff from putting in 10 hours of TF2 in a week or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't...
Which is too bad, because it seems like that was sort of, on paper, was the intent of all this stuff, is like, you'll get in and you've got the basic stuff, and then as you play, the sort of new content will just sort of cascade in organically.
Yeah.
Right.
But instead...
all the power players just get that shit immediately.
Right.
And then everyone just uses crazy weapons that I'll never see. Like,
right.
I probably have a couple more days of this in me, this, like, farming, but... It's not going to last. Like, I'm not going to have the patience to keep this up for long.
Right.
And then as soon as I stop, I'm just never going to unlock anything ever again because I don't play enough.
Until the next class update comes out.
Well, I mean, I haven't even touched most of them still. I haven't really done the heavy one or the medic one or anything. So, I don't know. I'm really enjoying TF2 generally. Like, when I'm just playing a regular game, which is the bulk of what I'm doing, it's just super fun. And I'm really glad I got back into it because it had been a while.
Yeah.
But then when I start to look at the achievement lists and see all the shit that I haven't done, it just like, ugh.
You weep.
I'm just never going to see this extra crap.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I think the Left 4 Dead achievements are some of the absolute best achievements I've ever seen in any game.
Yeah, they're pretty great.
They're so good. They're so well done. Like, those are examples of things where I see them and I'm like, all right, that seems tough, but I think I definitely think I can pull that off at least once. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there'll be a time when that happens. And most of the time, it just happens when you're playing well.
Right.
And you get a thing and you're like, oh, cool. That was a thing that's, I should try to replicate that because it was a good thing that I did. And you don't have to farm it. They're all just in things that happen once, I think, anyway, most of them.
Yeah, most of them are, yeah.
And I've never even considered going into like some crazy custom server. I don't even know if they have those, but I've never even thought about it. Yeah. Whereas with TF2, I'm just like, oh, come on. Seriously? Jeez, you've got to be kidding. All right, I'm going to some hilarious, weird map.
Yeah.
I did that for the first time today, actually. When you saw me doing it, that was the first time I'd ever done it.
And you caught him?
Yeah, Nick, well, I wasn't hiding it, but Nick came in and it was clearly a screen with just like 1,000 dudes who I was just like lighting on fire, like all in a row.
Hey, Nick, Alt F4.
Exactly. Oh, I'm just surfing the internet here.
I'm writing a paper on achievement. Achievement hoarding.
Right, research, little research for my investigative article.
Oh, journalism.
Yeah, you guys want to read some mail from a reader?
Oh, yeah, sure, we can do that.
Cool.
Mr. Chaz writes, hey, we'll fucking speak of the devil. Team Fortress 2 has, for me, the most expressive characters in any game I've played. The Heavy in particular is great. He actually looks hurt when you do damage to him. And not just pained either. He actually looks hurt emotionally. Especially when you set him on fire. That's hilarious.
He does look so bummed.
Yeah.
Number 2. One of the things I liked about Half-Life 2 is that despite all the people calling me the free man or whatever, I didn't really feel like a savior. I had no idea what was going on, and I was just trying to haul ass from one place to another because there were fucking aliens and giant robot things apparently determined to kill me. If Freeman wasn't a mute psychopath, I would have loved to hear him try and explain his situation. Well said.
Sweet.
Dear professional video game enthusiasts. Last week, you mentioned people being pissed off that Empire Total War didn't have cheating. Well, it was more than that. There weren't any modding tools either. To mod the game, people were using hex editors and weird third-party things. However, they did find out how to unlock the special units you had to pay $20 more to get.
Oh, snap.
You had to delete some folder and they would appear all of a sudden. Of course, the patch they issued the next day simply added in the stuff that people deleted, not actually fixed any of the bugs plaguing the game. With the game franchise so dependent on mods, why do they have to be so lame all of a sudden? What's with all the PC games not getting as much mod love as they have in the past? Is it just because companies are nervous people will make boobs appear like in Oblivion? Or do they just want to sell their lame DLC content, a couple of Special Forces units for $20 with Empire? Sergei Karutsabov. I kind of agree with them.
Yeah,
I think microtransactions are fucking retarded. Personally, yeah. I'm over it. It's stupid.
Yeah,
like I'm all for expansion content, like the Lost and Damned and like the Mirror's Edge DLC, which is $10, which is a little pricey, but there were a fucking lot of maps and they were a good, solid piece of content. But like all this crap, like little individual weapons and fucking, I don't know. I feel like that just.
What do you think of the Resident Evil 5 stuff? Because that was the big.
What is it?
Well, they're adding the versus mode, which doesn't really actually add any content. It's just a mode, and it's $10, and it comes out in a week.
There's got to be levels to play it in, right?
Well, it's just, I guess it's just chopped up, levels from the actual game.
That's still content that has to be.
Well, all right, but you know what I'm saying. They're not actually.
How much is it? Do you know?
It's $10, and it's sort of.
That's not
spawned
too objectionable to me. I mean, a Resident Evil game, has it ever had multiplayer before? Like, that's not, to me, that's not a thing that when I buy the game, I'm like, this better have multiplayer. Like, you know what I mean? They could have just never released multiplayer and no one ever would have minded. So I don't mind that so much. But to me, that's really different from like Empire Total War, where they're like, we've just got a bunch of dudes, just like some extra units that, like, that doesn't add any, like a multiplayer mode, that is a whole other realm of time, like things you can do with your game. Other units just existing, just that you can put in your army and then having them in an encrypted folder and then unlocking them when you buy the $20 extra collector's edition. To me, that's just cheap. That's just there's no benefit.
I think the issue with the Resident,
I
could be wrong about this, but I think it's the issue is that it's just going to be unlocked with like a small patch or something. You know what I mean? That's,
I don't know.
Everything's
it's
on
a
the
blurry
disc.
line for me. I don't know. Jake, any thoughts?
Not about that in particular. That doesn't sound that bad to me. I mean, unlocking a new gameplay mode using existing content, you could. I don't know what the Resident Evil 5 thing is, but I mean that theoretical example. I mean, whatever. It could be a couple $100K, but it could completely change the way the game is played.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, that doesn't bother me as
I'm
much.
worried that it might be totally dumb. It might be a worthless add-on, but
the argument is
$10 for only 2 megs of content.
Well, the argument is that they could have just simply included it with the game, which is always the.
Well, they probably could have.
They probably could
because of the they're releasing it in like a week or something. I mean, so that's the fact that it probably was done.
That's fair enough.
I can see that side. That particular thing doesn't bother me as much. I don't think there actually is that much of that going on, where it's like, here you get an entire mode. But what there is a lot of, which I just find, and I know you don't have to buy it. Obviously, that's always the comeback. You don't have to buy any of this shit. Totally true. But I think just that there is so much of this incidental content that there's money for. Just the fact that the market just becomes deluged with all that stuff. Just the more that happens, the more companies are going to want to just put more of that out. And over time, the more people are going to be accustomed to buying it. And if they're happy buying it, that's fine. But I don't see any benefit really at all to gamers. Like, well, the multiplayer mode,
it has some
I'm like, there's a thing, like someone, right. That really is an actual, like an entire
as
actual
opposed to
thing
a costume.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, the problem is people pay for that stuff.
Exactly. But, right. So I'm not, I'm not saying it should be against the law, but I just don't like it. I don't like that that's becoming such
a thing.
Did you guys see this fucking screenshot from the Apple, like, iPhone store? You know what? In fact, someone...
Yes.
Do you guys want to talk about the mod half of this question at all before we go to the other one?
That was a different email.
I know.
The thing I heard about Empire was that the modding is...
No, this guy was talking about mod tools and stuff, and then you started talking about microtransactions.
Oh, mod tools. I thought you said Ma. There's a separate email about the Ma.
No.
Yeah. Well, okay, yeah. Whatever. Well, yeah. What do you think? So we'll come back to the microtransactions. Nick, what do you think about mods in the Empire thing? What do you think about that?
I don't know. I haven't really looked into how. I mean, this. I thought the general consensus on Empire was that the modding was actually going to be fairly supported. So I don't really know. I haven't specifically. I mean, I'm so busy like trying to actually play the game that I haven't really looked into like whether I can mod it.
It could be like Oblivion. Like Fallout, where it comes later. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
those tools were really nice, the Fallout ones, but they just came late.
Right.
And they were all coy about it at first, too.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, singling out Creative Assembly is kind of lame because they are apparently going to, patch in multiplayer and all that stuff after the fact for free, which, I mean, But
yeah, we'll wait and see on the Empire mods because we just don't know yet.
Yeah.
But as far as we got another email actually about microtransactions. So let me read that first before we talk anymore. Trevor writes, love the podcast, keep up the great work. Steam recently added the feature to pay and download more content for a game you've already purchased, and Apple released some details on a feature called in-app purchasing, which allows you to buy more content for an application you've already paid for. Do you guys have any concerns to see this mode of distribution finding its way into a mainstream development process? My concern is that a developer could spend a large portion of time and money in the first chunk of a game that is initially purchased to really hook and reel an audience, and then subsequent releases that are comparatively lackluster or creating only part of a game using the funds and fan response to continue the story. It's also hard not to compare this game to Blizzard's separating of StarCraft 2's single-player campaign into 3 releases.
I think that while I agree that you can really cheap out and be a jerk with microtransactions, I think that he's extrapolating a little bit too far out. Personally,
it's funny because go ahead. It's funny because actually the example he gives of developers using the funds to continue the story is actually that's not something that bothers me. Actually,
definitely doesn't bother me.
That's what Telltale does. Yeah, that's not something I have a problem with.
I think. Well,
as long as
you know what the thing about this is, at a certain point it becomes. Well, sorry.
No, go ahead.
It just sort of becomes annoying as a consumer to have to sit there and decide whether $5 upgrade is.
That's what I'm talking about.
To constantly make you choose between whether this level or that level is worth the money.
I agree.
What are you going to do? Are we going to have reviews for DLC, like little tiny microtransaction review? How do you sort of?
No, I totally agree.
Figure this out.
That's why I draw a line between something that is a very obvious, for example, with the Telltale episodic series, it's okay, they're going to build this thing. I know they're not going to be done with episode 5 at the time I buy episode 1. They're going to finish that by the time I know what I'm getting. It's these just continuation of a story. That's why I don't mind the multiplayer mode. It's it is what it is. It's this whole just thing. It's this extra mode. What I really dislike, really actually despise, is the itemized DLC. That's a weapon or a costume or it's just something like that where it's how do you fuck...
Or a car.
Things like that. I don't mind if a developer does that, I guess, but I just don't like the idea that it could become just a standard.
I was so sad as the
thing.
The PlayStation Store update list every week. I have to do this for Shaq, but it is basically a list of that crap, and it's I don't know. I would never know that stuff exists, but it's just so.
I just farted. The image I was going to describe earlier was. During Apple's press conference when they announced the DLC stuff for iPhone, there's a screenshot of a real-time screenshot of an FPS, actually from Ngmoko, Neil Young's company.
Oh, this was the example that they called out in that as well. Do you want to buy the rocket launcher for 99 cents?
It's a little dialogue box that pops up, and it says pay fucking 99 cents for rocket. If that's the kind of shit that people who, for example, someone who has an iPhone who doesn't play a lot of full-scale games already, they buy that thing, they're weird. I don't know. Should I do this? Maybe I should. Maybe enough of them who just don't play a lot of games be maybe I don't know. Maybe it's just what you do. Maybe this is just a cool extra thing I get if I pay only 99 cents. I just don't like the idea of as more people get into gaming because obviously at any given time, someone who plays one of these games on Live Arcade that has all this shit, this might be the first game they've played. At any given time, more and more people are getting into games and other people are getting out of games probably as they get older. And
this might be naive, but it feels like the fact that exists. If reality is not actually as depressing as these market initiatives are and people actually don't like that stuff, it does give you the opportunity as a developer to say, in our game, you actually get all the content.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know if people will respond to that.
I wonder if there's enough of a reason to do that, though. Are people going to not buy a game just because? Unless you actually have someone who's not buying a game because it does have DLC.
Well, no, if you're looking at the one that says, here's this game for $3, and then we'll nickel and dime you an additional $4 to buy this other stuff, and then someone else
you're talking about an iPhone game.
Yeah, and then someone else says, here's our game for $3 that's a real game.
I don't think iPhone games get enough sort of coverage and people read about them enough for that to be. I think you might be able to do that with a retail game that gets a lot of sort of hardcore gamer coverage and eyes. But I don't.
Our game has the horse armor built in,
right? But I don't think you could. I don't think you could do that with an iPhone game. That's actually a really difficult thing about the iPhone market is that with an install base that's so broad and not homogenous. It's really actually difficult to promote your stuff because none of those people are not reading the same publications in the same way that a dude who buys Resident Evil 5, probably all the other people or most of them who are playing Resident Evil 5.
iPhone games just pop up out of nowhere as well.
Exactly, right.
Unless you're really looking.
And as a consumer, really, as you're buying the game, the easiest way to gauge it, the only way to gauge it sometimes is just to click on the reviews and just
right. Which is nice. It's nice that it's there.
It is nice that it's there. I mean, I guess that's where somebody would say, this game is bullshit. You have to buy the rocket launcher for 99 cents.
Right.
But
so we'll see. Maybe that will happen.
One thing, just
but
go ahead. I was going to say, just specifically in this guy's email, he says, "My concern is that a developer could spend a large portion of time and money on the first chunk of the game, and then reel an audience in with subsequent releases that are comparatively lackluster." A lot of people express that as a concern, and I think if your subsequent releases are lackluster, your company is just going to go out of business and not make those games anymore. True. I mean, DLC. I mean, I don't think people are going to buy anything if it's stupid.
Right.
I mean,
I've seen
after a certain period of time. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the real concern is more that just smaller stuff is going to nickel and dime you into being annoyed.
And the main reason is that I think that is just because. Now, before I say any of this, I want to put out the disclaimer because this is always the comeback. I know that the reason companies exist is to make money. I know that people aren't doing things out of altruism.
Yeah.
All that said, I don't give a shit. Like, as someone who does pay money for games and does care about what I'm paying for, I just don't like the idea of a market in which there is even some expectation that these things are actual, like that you go out there and you've got the money you spend for your game, which is already more than you pay for any other entertainment product, no matter what, even a cheap game. And then there's also just this other fucking boatload of shit that you might want. It's like, I shouldn't have to maybe want that. Like, I mean, it's just, you know what I mean? Like, what am I getting out of that? Maybe some dude is getting something out of it. He probably wouldn't actually be having less fun with the game if he wasn't spending fucking 99 cents here and there and there and there on this and this and this. Like, and again, it's a consumer fucking beware. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not trying to say that companies have to protect the consumers from spending their money. Like, but I can say that as a broad effect, I don't think that stuff is beneficial to consumers in any meaningful way. Like, I don't think that stuff being there is having any positive, long-term, beneficial effect on consumers who are buying games. And really, those are the only people I actually care about when it comes to markets. Like, I care a lot about developers, and I want them to succeed probably more than most gamers do. Like, I go out of my way to spend a lot of money on full-priced games. Considering I'm a journalist, I spend a fucking lot, and I don't have to, but I do. And so I don't mind spending a lot of money on games. I spend a lot of money on games, but I do mind that stupid shit. And I think I'm coming from a reasonably legitimate point because I don't get all my shit for free.
And there is it is a problem with that distinction. I mean, or the separation between, the iPhone and the internet, because I mean, with a company like Valve who's putting out free updates for games, they're building a fan base based on that. They're getting, benefits for that, but I could see a tendency to sort of be very short-sighted about this on the iPhone because people aren't connecting, this game with the, developer's next game. I mean,
the fact of the matter is, mobile gaming portals, even the iPhone App Store, is like the most. They're built around impulse buy, nickel and dime. Right. So, I mean, it bums me out. It bums me out a lot on the iPhone, but it's totally going to work.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, I feel the same way in a way about the Wii Shop. Like that's console gaming's closest analogy to a mobile phone store of just like, oh, here's a pretty looking picture of a thing. Oh, it's not very much money. I think so, more so than I feel like Live gets impulse buys, but it's a different sort of. I think it encourages a slightly more informed purchase. I don't know. I feel like the App Store is like the epitome of just
the App Store. Yeah.
Just pressing buttons and then watching wondrous things appear on your screen, and as your credit card just goes ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching.
Right. No, it's totally true. And the App Store is also targeting a consumer base that's just generally much less informed, simply because I don't know, just the nature of the audience, the nature of the platform. But
this might be how the iPhone changes everything.
Yeah, exactly. and I will also say I'm not as personally invested in the iPhone as a gaming platform. Like, I think that screenshot of the rocket launcher thing sort of appalls me, but on the other hand, I'm not as actively annoyed by it just because
you would never play that game.
Yeah, I wouldn't play that game anyway. So I am sort of actively saddened to an extent by the Live Arcade and PSN. Just like
what would depress me though is, I mean, like there are some decent games on the iPhone. Like one example is Field Runners, and the guy who makes that game put out a couple of free maps after the fact, which I thought was great because the original only had I think 2.
Right.
It was kind of disappointing. I bought the game and I was like, there's only 2 maps. Like, this is kind of ridiculous. There's this blank black hole of like, in the map list. It was just like 2
like a menu,
things,
and then it looks like there should be
like 10 more. And so he put it out for free, which I thought was all right, cool, great. But I have feeling that now he probably would have charged 99 cents for those.
Probably he didn't see a sales spike like Valve does when they released
right,
their-
exactly. So
how do people know? There's no.
Well, in the
it's not an
reviews, they're like,
informed
need
marketplace.
more maps, and then
Well, those reviews stay there after the new content
exactly.
comes out.
So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So we got a hilarious email. I don't really know how to introduce this.
It's from my hometown of Petaluma.
Should I just read it?
I don't know.
All right.
It's about cereal.
I thought Jake wanted to read it, but okay.
Oh, no, I wanted to read it? No, I want to talk about it.
Petaluma-based Barbara's Bakery, a leading provider of all-natural, organic cereals and snacks, and Majesco Entertainment Company, which, by the way, goes by the NASDAQ symbol
Yes, this
COOL.
cool. Yeah.
The funniest shit ever.
God.
Yeah. It's like they got to make sure Wall Street knows how rad they are. An innovative provider of video games for the mass market have announced a marketing partnership to support the upcoming release of Puffins, Island Adventure for Nintendo DS. Through the partnership, content featuring Barbara's Bakery's popular cereals, Puffins and Wild Puffs, will be integrated into the gameplay of the upcoming video game release as Puffin Tips. Barbara's Bakery will also develop and execute a national instant win game that will take place this spring to coincide with the launch of the video game.
Oh, sorry. Majesco loves those.
Loves what?
Weird instant win.
Oh yeah,
Psychonauts had one.
Psychonauts had the golden ticket. Like
Right.
your copy
yeah.
of the game might contain $1,000.
A tour of the Majesco offices.
Exactly. With me, Willy Wonka. Would you?
Puffins.
Would you be interested? Like, so this was the point of this press release. Would you be interested in speaking with Ken Spalding, VP of Marketing at Barbara's Bakery, or a contact at Majesco for comment? They could discuss, for example, how this partnership takes the Puffins brand into a whole new format beyond cereal, and for Majesco helps raise awareness for their games in unconventional ways. So
We can talk about that.
There's this hilarious press release.
So yeah,
It's a whole new format.
I don't know. I see Puffins a lot in grocery stores. But I didn't know they were from just up the road from us.
Yeah, they're just
So-
across the bay.
Yeah.
They're going way beyond cereal, man.
Yeah.
It's new formats.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can do it.
All right.
Oh man. They could discuss, for example, how this partnership takes the Puffins brand into a whole new format beyond cereal.
Oh man. So Jake might be their official spokesman.
Yeah, I think he's the voice of the Puffin in the game.
Yeah.
No.
And from Majesco, help raise awareness for the games in unconventional ways. I don't know, the Puffin.
Can we interview you, Jake, about Puffins?
It'll be short-lived, but you can give it a shot.
Any synergies going on?
Yeah.
The Puffins.
What'd you think of Fallout 3?
Puffins.
When's this game coming out?
The Puffins.
Any platforms confirmed?
The Puffins.
Okay, good. That's what I thought.
It's like a Puffin.
Thanks, man.
You're welcome.
Cool. Cool. That might be our podcast.
We're more than done.
Yeah,
Sorry we're a day late.
we might be overstaying our welcome.
Dollar
Yeah.
short. Yep.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll.
Cool. I'm invested.
I'm
Yeah.
invested in that. Yeah. No, we'll be back next weekend. We're gonna have hopefully at least 2 podcasts next week. Hopefully more. We'll see how that works out, depending on how destroyed we are over GDC week.
Yeah, there are like 4 days left in the countdown to tears.
Yeah, we're fucking getting close to those tiers.
Everything's going to
Get
change.
ready to cry, or everything might change.
Yeah,
Yeah, you might buy a rocket launcher.
pay 99 cents to cry.
99 cents per tier. Once you've bought the first tier, like once you've logged in with your
You'll
Apple
get
account,
a series of
you just keep-
underwhelming tears after that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll just keep charging away.
Horse tears.
You'll be chasing the tears.
Horse tears. That's some heavy tears, man.
Yeah.
You can beat a dead horse, and then horse tears will be shed. Hey.
Yeah. Horse tears is really weird.
Don't like
Horse
that.
eyes
Makes you
are
uncomfortable.
scary to me.
Yeah. Go back to the Puffins.
Well, no, I'm just talking about like a scared horse eye.
Right.
Video game.
I think that's fair game. I could talk about that if you want. Here, I'll sit down in front of the microphone.
It's weird how the Coca-Cola...
Yeah, I think it's pretty
Isn't it
retarded.
weird how those Coca-Cola games are set up so you never play?
Yeah, no, I'm talking about how, you know, when Coke used to do the lid top games in like the late 80s, early 90s, it was a big deal. Yeah. And now every single fucking bottle cap has like a 12-digit code that means nothing, and you have to go to some promotional website and type it in, and then it will tell you that you've won nothing. Why? Who would do that? Someone probably does.
Those guys would.
What? Maybe one guy would.
Video games.
The Puffins. The Puffins. The Puffins. The Puffins. The Puffins. The Puffins. The Puffins.